In this week's Bizline, Vietnamese economy to expand 6.7% in 2021. And later on, Vietnam determines to achieve dual goals of containing pandemic and keeping economy on track. Hello there, you're tuning into Bizline, our weekly economic journal on VTV International. I'm Hoàng Hằng, and as usual, we now take a look at news making headlines in Vietnam's economic scene this week.
In its recent report entitled Vietnam Strong Performance Continues This Year, Standard Chartered Bank revised its forecast for Vietnam's economic growth this year from 7.8% to 6.7% and 7.3% in 2022. The bank said that widespread vaccination is an important condition for the resumption of the country's international tourism and boosting its sustainable economic recovery. Vietnam has been rolling out its COVID-19 vaccination campaign since March the 8th. Average inflation this year is expected to reach 3.8%, owing to rapid economic growth and rising global food prices.
Vietnam shipped over $130 billion worth of goods overseas in the first 5 months of 2021, up 13.7% annually, according to the General Statistics Office. Of the sum, the domestic sector and the FDI sector increased by 16% and 36% year-on-year respectively. During the period, 22 products reported an export value of over $1 billion each and accounted for 87% of the nation's total exports. The U.S. remained the biggest export market of Vietnam with a year-on-year rise of 49.8%, followed by China, the EU, ASEAN, South Korea, and Japan.
Vietnam's Consumer Price Index, or CPI, for the first 5 months of the year has increased 1.29% compared to the same period last year, a record low figure since 2016, according to the General Statistics Office, or GSO. According to the GSO, the increase in the prices of raw materials, fuel, and input materials affected production costs that prompted the prices of consumer goods and services to leap. In addition, an increasing demand for fuel, electricity, and water also made a negative impact on the CPI for May. The group of transportation-related commodities obtained the highest price rise of 0.76%. In contrast, the price of culture, entertainment, and tourism services increased by 0.23% due to the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic.
To strengthen measures in addressing difficulties caused by the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, the State Bank of Vietnam recently sent out a document requesting commercial banks to implement solutions for the reduction and exemption of fees and interest rates. Depending on their financial capacities, banks need to reduce loan interest rates and restructure loan repayment terms while publicizing support interest rates for people and businesses. In addition, the State Bank of Vietnam also requested the strengthening of online payment services, especially in pandemic-affected areas, to ensure both safety and avoid interruptions to financial activities.
The Ministry of Industry and Trade has not proposed to set up a fund to stabilize steel prices. The ministry's representative confirmed this at the government's regular press conference held on June the 3rd. In the context of the surge in steel prices, which directly affects businesses, the Ministry of Industry and Trade said it would continue to monitor, review, and handle the anti-dumping of number of imported steel products, as well as deal with overseas anti-dumping lawsuits against Vietnamese steel exports. It would also strengthen inspection to prevent and handle price speculation, price manipulation, and commercial fraud in the markets.
Those are some headlines in Vietnam's economic scene. Up next, we take a look at Vietnam's dual goal strategy of containing COVID-19 outbreaks and keeping the economy on track in our crosstalk. Vietnam has been one of the most successful countries in the world at containing the COVID-19 pandemic. For a long period, the country had no community transmissions, and what flare-ups Vietnam did see were met with rigorous testing and protocols. As such, the nation has been able to achieve its dual goals of containing the COVID-19 pandemic and maintaining economic activities over the entire 2020 and the first few months of this year. Despite the ongoing fourth wave of COVID-19 infections, Vietnam is said to be on track to achieve its development goals. So how is this possible? We will find out in this week's Bizline. But first, let's see what these dual goals entail in the following.
In 2020, Vietnam was one of the few countries able to effectively control the pandemic, thanks to timely, effective, and low-cost measures. According to IMF, Vietnam was among 4 countries and territories in the world to achieve positive GDP per capita growth. Macroeconomic stability was maintained, inflation was controlled at below 4% and reached the set target, with the aim to prevent the pandemic and at the same time maintain socio-economic stability. Right from the beginning of the pandemic, Vietnam has issued a number of directives and resolutions to quickly remove difficulties for production and business, support people facing difficulties due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and regularly monitor the implementation of such measures on a monthly basis.
Thế thì để thực hiện mục tiêu kép thì đứng về phía giác độ y tế và chống dịch. Đương nhiên những người làm công tác như chúng tôi là muốn là giãn cách xã hội sớm nhất, khoanh vùng rộng nhất có thể. Và tôi nói đây chính là bản lĩnh của lãnh đạo các cấp. Thế còn từng thời kỳ, từng lúc thì chúng ta phải có cái điều chỉnh cho phù hợp với tình hình và năng lực của chúng ta. Và tất cả những cái vấn đề lớn đấy, xuyên suốt từ trước đến nay, đây là một sự kế thừa, chưa có gì thay đổi cả.
Many directives have also been issued to speed up the disbursement of public investment capital, stabilize the macroeconomy, and control inflation. In addition, the program on building new-style rural areas in recent years has had a positive impact and has helped farmers develop production and improve their lives.
We now connect with economist Dr. Winty Hill to discuss the dual goal strategy and talk about how to improve its effectiveness in the time ahead. Well, welcome to our Bizline program.
I'm glad to be here.
Now, the term dual goal or synchronized goals might be very familiar to many people. However, not everyone has a deep understanding of this strategy. So could you explain this term?
Well, Vietnam is pursuing 2 or double goals: the fighting the pandemic and keep economic growth. And that is the 2 goals that is not it's not easy to pursue at this time, when the pandemic in the world and in Vietnam is becoming very serious. Vietnamese government has helped the economy by pumping money into the economy, helping businesses, and implemented many measures that help to keep social security for the people. We have seen the government has implemented measures that help people who lost the jobs during last year and this year.
This strategy has helped Vietnam achieve many positive economic results, but in the context of the COVID-19 pandemic remaining complicated and a new wave of outbreaks in Vietnam, will these strategies remain as effective as it was before?
To control the disease is the highest priority. However, we still have to keep the economy going. Although there is some lockdowns in Hanoi, in Ho Chi Minh City, in some provinces, but it's not a total lockdown. There's some part of the economy has been blocked to control the disease, but generally the economy keep going. So in 2021, Vietnam keeps performing relatively well.
Vietnam is experiencing its fourth wave of COVID-19 infections. Nevertheless, the total trade turnover of goods in the first 5 months of 2021 is estimated to have increased, reaching over $262 billion, up 33.5% over the same period last year.
Những cái hiệp định thương mại tự do thế hệ mới có hiệu lực, các doanh nghiệp Việt Nam chúng ta tận dụng được những cái kết quả, được những cái ưu đãi của những cái hiệp định này, trải qua một cái thời gian để thích ứng đối với những cái quy định mới nhất thông qua cái việc mà tận dụng được những quy tắc xuất xứ của Việt Nam.
Investor confidence continues to be stable. Total direct investment or FDI in 5 months reached roughly $14 billion. Notably, newly registered capital increased by nearly 19%, of which manufacturing and processing recorded the highest attraction values, accounting for nearly 10% of the whole industrial sector.
Chúng ta đang đưa ra các cái tiêu chí đánh giá hiệu quả đầu tư, đánh giá cái đầu tư, cũng như là đưa ra các cái ưu đãi đầu tư đặc biệt. Mà các ưu đãi đầu tư đặc biệt này là hướng tới các dự án về công nghệ, chuyển giao công nghệ cho doanh nghiệp tham gia vào chuỗi, như là có các giá trị tăng cao tại Việt Nam để mà thu hút các dự án công nghệ. Có những cái tổ công tác để hỗ trợ các nhà đầu tư để mà đàm phán với họ.
With about 370 industrial parks across the country with links in domestic and global supply chains, Vietnam needs to promote achievements in maintaining business operations. The total number of newly established enterprises and reoperated enterprises reached 78,000 enterprises, an increase of nearly 12% over the same period last year.
Chúng tôi kỳ vọng rất nhiều vào cái quý 2 này. Đó là cái tăng trưởng IIP của công nghiệp. Trong đó có công nghiệp chế biến chế tạo. Thì lâu lắm rồi chúng tôi mới làm một cái báo cáo mà cái con số này nó trở lại 2 con số và trên 10%. Tổng mức bán lẻ hàng hóa và tiêu dùng dịch vụ tiêu dùng và đang tiệm cận gần đến với 2 con số. Thì đấy là những cái tín hiệu để chúng ta kỳ vọng.
The positive economic signs of the past 5 months demonstrate the determination of the government, ministries, localities and businesses to maintain the production chain, maintain wealth and ensure people's livelihoods, even amid the pandemic's increasingly complicated developments. Now, Vietnam's economic landscape in the first 5 months of 2021 witnessed a number of positive results. In particular, industrial production and export continue to be bright spots despite increasing development in the pandemic over the past month. So how would you evaluate production and export activities in Vietnam recently?
Now, the export for the first 5 months of the year account for 131 billion US dollars, increased by 31% as compared to last year. I see the export continue to grow, especially Vietnam's fruit, vegetables, and the marine products have gained a reputation in the big market, like in the US market and European markets. And with the trade, the highest trade agreement, CPTPP and EVFTA, and recently RCEP and other trade agreement with foreign country have helped Vietnam to diversify the market. But I must say, Vietnam still depends on few big market, which is USA, European market for export, and China for import. Vietnam needs to diversify more.
Ensuring operation in industrial park is key to maintaining production and supply chains for the world market. So how has it been recently?
Turning into 2021, I have seen many industrial zones are affected by the disease, like in Bắc Ninh here. I have seen some FDI factories are affected tremendously. The people get sick, but immediately the central government and the provincial governments keep control of the situation, and even the businesses have contributed to the control of the disease. And so far, the situation looks like this is get back in control. So I believe that the government, the central government, have done everything possible to help socially and humanly in many areas in Vietnam.
And how has the state supported enterprises during this difficult time?
With the central government, yes, I have seen that the government officials go to those places regularly to check it out, how the conditions for the laborers are and how the working conditions are set up. I feel that the central government pay a lot of attention to the living condition of the workers in those industrial parks.
Danco Tam Thang Company in Tam Thang Industrial Park in Tam Kỳ City, Quảng Nam Province, currently has nearly 7,000 workers. To ensure safety against COVID-19, Quảng Nam's health sector has instructed this unit to deploy medical isolation and organize testing regularly.
Lấy mẫu xét nghiệm ngẫu nhiên và các thứ như này là để cho anh chị em tôi ở đây quan tâm, ở đây làm việc là sẽ được cái sự an tâm hơn và nói chung là rất là đồng tình.
Quảng Nam currently has 30 large and small industrial zones and clusters. Sample taking to test all workers is being drastically implemented by authorities. In addition, Quảng Nam's health sector has also invested in new equipment to proactively control and handle outbreaks should they occur.
Trung tâm Kiểm soát Bệnh tật Quảng Nam cũng tăng cường cái việc mà lấy mẫu ngẫu nhiên cho các cái cụm khu công nghiệp để tầm soát, phát hiện, nếu có thì xử lý nhanh và xử lý kịp thời. 100% công nhân.
With the implementation of numerous control measures, the production and business activities of enterprises in industrial parks and economic zones in Quảng Nam Province have continued. They've contributed to the implementation of dual goals of both ensuring effective pandemic prevention and control and maintaining and promoting economic activities.
In addition, in terms of the supportive policies of the state, what have businesses done to ensure their production and business activity as well as curb the spread of the disease?
We have seen lately many industrial parks have changed the way their workers live and work. Many factories require the workers stay in the compound, not going home. They set up facilities for their workers to live in the compound and eating, sleeping, and resting in the same place. And they keep good distance to each other. So I think many businesses are very cooperative, and the provincial government are also facilitating, easing the conditions for those businesses to help their workers. I feel that even the workers are very aware of what they should do and should not do, not to spread the virus.
How has the dual goal strategy of Vietnam been evaluated by the international community?
The economic growth of last year, 2020, was 2.91%. Is the lowest growth rate in the last 10 years. However, Vietnam came out as one of the 3 countries in the Asia Pacific region here with the positive growth, which is Vietnam, China, and New Zealand. So that increased the trust and the reputation of Vietnam, and the foreign investors look into that as a very positive sign that Vietnam will continue to grow while control the disease. And so far this year, in the first 5 months of the years, foreign investors, in terms of FDI, the foreign investors continue to put the money into Vietnam. I have seen the inquiries of many foreign investors into real estate here in Vietnam. However, now with the situation getting tougher in control of the disease, I feel Vietnam has to accelerate the vaccination to gain the confidence by the foreign investors.
This foreign enterprise needs to immediately establish a new long-term manufacturing facility to meet a large number of orders from the US, Europe, and Japan. This 4,500 square meter warehouse is expected to be full of goods in the next few months.
From all over the world, people are positive looking this country as the next, you can say, a world factory kind. And this happening every day.
Dennis Brunetti has worked in many countries, but he's still amazed by Vietnam's measure to maintain socio-economic activities during the pandemic. Following the authorities' guidance, his company has not recorded any suspected cases of COVID-19.
It's important to control it, and obviously to a large extent we've had to do many isolation measures, of course, mask wearing, of course, temperature checks, and in many cases gatherings have been restricted because of COVID-19. But the government has managed to really do all the right things when it comes to economic development.
Despite the recent resurgence of the COVID outbreak here, Vietnam's recovery prospects are still expected to be strong in 2021 and beyond. We see the economy here as being very resilient as well.
Thanks to its policies and dual goal strategy, Vietnam has remained one of the most attractive destinations for foreign investors. In the first 5 months of 2021, Vietnam received 613 new FDI projects with a total investment of $8.83 billion.
We are expanding. I think the pandemic did not change anything. We wanted to expand before, and we want to expand even more now. I think Vietnam has become, for a company like, a priority country.
With the success in implementing its dual goal strategy, Vietnam will continue prioritizing and ensuring people's safety and socio-economic activities for the time to come. Businesses and their employees are also asked to strictly follow preventive measures and to never let their guards down. How has this strategy's effectiveness affected the decisions of foreign investors?
The disease control is very important. If we can control the disease, the factories are still working. We produce the goods and we can export. And the FDI company can continue to grow and prosper. On the opposite, on the other way around, if we cannot control the disease, FDI will be affected and the foreign investment will be reduced, will be down in Vietnam. But so far, there is no sign that the foreign investment is diminishing in Vietnam, although the number is still relatively low. But I feel continuingly the foreign investor will come to Vietnam this year.
Dual goals or synchronized goals are identified as a long-term strategy for Vietnam. However, in the new situation, this goal also needs adjustment. So what changes do you think could be made?
I think what the government should do is to promote the Vietnamese brand name. As we all know, the rice ST25 is now gaining the confidence of the consumers overseas tremendously. And not only rice, but at this time we are talking about lychees, we are talking about some other products that are exported from Vietnam. What I'm most concerned about is the survival of the small and medium-sized companies. They are accounting for roughly 97% of all the businesses in Vietnam, and they contributed about 40% of tax revenues to the government. So they play a very, very important role in the economy. So I think at this moment it's very important for the government to come up with a program, with a financial program to rescue and to support the small and medium-sized businesses.
How do you predict the country's implementation of synchronized goals in 2021?
That is not easy to come up with any prediction at this time. But under the assumption that we can control the disease, I believe that Vietnam's economy will grow roughly at the rate of 6%. To do that, we have to control the disease at this time.
Well, once again, thank you for joining our Bizline program.
You're welcome. I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Positive signals that have reflected the confidence of the business community and foreign investor have been seen after Vietnam's successful implementation of its dual goal of combating the COVID-19 pandemic and promoting socio-economic development. This confidence comes from the fact that Vietnam has always actively and effectively controlled the COVID-19 pandemic, constantly improved the business environment, and offered new investment opportunities for people and businesses. These achievements have helped Vietnam remain confident for the rest of 2021, but it also requires more effort and determination as the pandemic continues to be complicated. We will keep a close eye on the situation and update you on Vietnam's major economic achievements in future episodes of Bizline. For now, you can check out our website, YouTube channel, or simply download our app VTV Go from App Store and Google Play for a lot more. Thank you for watching and see you next time.